A. Expressions connected with complaining. It is important to use these expressions in appropriate situations. Some examples are given here. The expressions in each group go more or less from weaker to stronger, but much depends on who you are speaking to and what the situation is. More common in informal situations. You've got to do something about that window of yours. It rattles in the wind and keeps me awake.
For goodness sake, I'm fed up with all your moaning and grumbling. Cheer up. For goodness sake, I'm sick of all your moaning and grumbling. Cheer up.
Look here. I've just about had enough of your stupid comments.
Look, this is just not on. You promised to be here by 2 o'clock and it's almost 3.
Enough is enough. Please, no more arguments. Be nice to each other. More neutral in tone. I'm not at all satisfied with the service I've received.
Something will have to be done about that pile of rubbish. It can't be left in front of the house.
I wish you would turn your radio down. I wish you wouldn't play your music so loudly.
You never help around the house. It just won't do. You're going to have to change your ways.
More common informal situations, typically in connection with bad service or behaviour. I wish to complain about the delay in delivering my order.
The carpet in my room is stained and dirty. This is most unsatisfactory.
I take great exception to your unfair comments about our committee.
I really must object to being made to wait so long before seeing the manager.
The water pipe you have repaired 3 times in our kitchen is leaking again. This is simply unacceptable.
Your bus driver left the children by the roadside in pouring rain with no adult in attendance. This is shameful.
B. Verbs and nouns relating to complaining and protesting.
Complain about. Express dissatisfaction or annoyance. Noun. Complaint. Protest about. Strongly express complaint, disapproval or disagreement. Noun. Protest. Object to. Be against something or someone. Noun. Objection. Remonstrate with somebody or remonstrate about something. Complain to someone or complain about something. Noun. Remonstrance. Very formal and not common. Find fault with. Criticise or complain about even small mistakes. Noun. Fault-finding. Grumble about. Complain in a quiet but angry way. Noun. Grumble. Gripe about. To complain continuously. Noun. Gripe. Grouse about. To complain. Usually often. Noun. Grouse. Whinge about. Complain persistently. Noun. Whinge. Whinging.
A. Apologies and excuses. Collocations.
Collocation. Sincere, heartfelt. Noun. Apology. Collocation. Good, perfect, lame, flimsy, weak, convincing, detailed, phony. Noun. Excuse, explanation. Collocation. Cast iron, convincing, perfect, phony. Noun. Alibi. Collocation. Flimsy, false. Noun. Pretext. He offered his most heartfelt apology for having offended everyone.
It was a rather lame excuse, and nobody really believed it.
The police were convinced the suspect's explanation was phony, but could not prove it.
The police questioned her about the murder, but she had a cast-iron alibi. She had spent the whole day teaching at the local primary school.
He got an interview with her on the rather flimsy pretext of being interested in her research.
B. regretfulness in legal contexts.
Crime Watch.
When he was pronounced guilty of fraud, Jack Moseley showed no remorse whatsoever. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. All 3 of his companions who were on trial with him were acquitted of the crime and walked out of the courtroom free. Moseley later repented whilst in prison, and his sentence was reduced by 1 year. The President issued a posthumous pardon to the man who, it seems, had been wrongly accused of treason.
The Committee of Inquiry exonerated the minister from all responsibility for the disaster.
The condemned man received a last-minute reprieve the day before he was due to be executed.
It is hard for the victims of crime to forgive and forget. C. Peace and reconciliation. Treaty. Written agreement between 2 or more countries. For example, the 2 nations signed a peace treaty in 2014. Armistice. Agreement to stop war while peace discussions take place. For example, the generals from the opposing armies declared an armistice. The generals from the opposing armies signed an armistice. Truce. Agreement between 2 enemies to stop fighting for a period of time. For example, the 2 fighting politicians called a truce, agreeing to put their differences behind them for the good of the country. Accord. Official agreement, especially between countries. For example, there are fears that the current period of accord between the 2 sides in the civil war is at risk of collapsing. Ceasefire. Agreement to stop fighting in order to allow discussions about peace. For example, both sides have agreed to a ceasefire while talks are underway. A. Collocations with compliment and praise. The boss would get better results if she paid her staff compliments occasionally.
He asked us what we thought of his suit, but he was really only fishing for compliments.
Take it as a compliment that he feels relaxed enough to fall asleep at your dinner party.
A backhanded compliment and a double-edged compliment are ones that appear to be both positive and negative. Backhanded compliments tend to have a malicious intent, whereas double-edged ones are usually made innocently.
I took it as a backhanded compliment when he said I was looking good for my age.
She paid me the double-edged compliment of saying my driving was pretty good for a beginner. The phrase give praise to is usually used only, though not exclusively, for a god. An action or person that deserves praise is praiseworthy, and people are praised for their actions. Other common collocations are widely or highly praised, praise to the skies, to sing someone's or something's praises, to shower or heap praise on someone or something. To damn someone with faint praise is to praise with such a lack of enthusiasm that you give the impression of actually having rather negative feelings. B. Other expressions relating to praising.
Pay tribute to. Praise. For example, at the memorial service, I paid tribute to his kindness. Give someone a standing ovation. Stand up and clap loudly for a long time. For example, at the end of the concert, the audience gave the young pianist a standing ovation. Extol the virtues or benefits of. Praise highly. For example, at the conference, the Prime Minister extolled the virtues of the new trade treaty. Be the toast of. Be admired for some recent achievement, often used about artists and celebrities. For example, a few months ago, hardly anyone had heard of her, but now she's the toast of Hollywood. Pat someone on the back, or give someone a pat on the back. Praise, often children, used mostly metaphorically. For example, my teacher patted me on the back for my good marks in the maths test. My teacher gave me a pat on the back for my good marks in the maths test. Earn or win plaudits. Get positive comments. For example, the exhibition earned plaudits from all the major reviewers. Laud. Adjective laudable, of behaviour, and laudatory, of comments or remarks. Praise highly in official situations. For example, the Prime Minister has lauded the new peace initiative. These mostly informal expressions imply praising someone for your own benefit. To flatter, to make up to crawl, to suck up to lick someone's boots. Someone who behaves like this can be called smarmy, slimy, or a crawler, all informal. A flatterer, neutral, or servile, obsequious, more formal. Flatter can also be used more positively. That dress flatters her figure. The noun flattery is often used in the phrase, flattery will get you nowhere.
A. Promises.
If you promise someone the earth or the moon, you promise them a great deal. It is usually implied that such a promise is unrealistic. For example, the afternoon promises to be interesting. To anticipate something is to expect it before it happens. Promise can also be used to indicate positive future development. For example, the child already shows great promise as a violinist.
She's a promising artist, although her style is still rather immature.
An oath, or to swear, is a formal promise. In court, witnesses are put on or under oath when they have to swear to tell the truth. Notice how swear is often used in informal spoken English in expressions.
I could have sworn I left my purse on the table.
I think she lives on Rose Street, but I couldn't swear to it.
My mother swears by these vitamin pills.
Tom often uses swear words. Tom often uses bad language.
To pledge, a pledge, means to promise something, often friendship or money.
Mayor Williams has pledged millions of dollars to improve the city centre.
To vow, a vow, is to make a determined decision or promise to do something.
He vowed to discover who had killed his father.
At a marriage ceremony, the couple exchange vows. Both vow and pledge are found more in written than spoken English. New Year's resolutions are special promises to turn over a new leaf at the beginning of a new year. Resolutions and vows, like promises or pledges, can be made, kept, or broken. If you go back on your word, you break a promise.
B. Bets. To bet, a bet is to risk something, usually money, on the unknown result of something, in the hope of winning more money. People spend and lose a lot of money betting on horse racing or football matches, for example. Putting money on the results of a game of some kind is called gambling. The amount of money that you risk is your stake. You can stake a sum of money on something happening. If something is at stake, then it is at risk.
Many lives will be at stake if the flood barrier is not built.
A more formal word for bet is wager.
She put a wager of £10 on a horse.
Both words can be used in a non-literal sense.
I'd wager that he will come to a bad end.
There are a number of informal expressions connected with betting. Your best bet would be to look for a part-time job.
You think Stuart will win? Don't bet on it.
My granny enjoys having a flutter on the horses.
I'd put good money on James getting the job. I'd bet my life on James getting the job.
Do you feel like coming to the beach with us?
You bet.
You can also hedge your bets by investing in several companies.
The odds are the statistical or betting chances of something happening.
What are the odds of Olivia finishing her course, do you think?
The odds are against her getting that promotion.